everyone. Thanks for coming today. We'll open it up with some comments from the coach.
Hey guys, how y'all doing today? Appreciate y'all coming. Obviously, we're closing down on the inaugural season here at Kennesaw State. Probably didn't have our best outing last Saturday, playing an awfully good football team, and we didn't play near the abilities that we would like to play in a given game. But that's the way it goes sometimes. And we're going to learn from that, and we'll build on it. And I think the big thing right now for our program is we want to finish strong. It's been a good year, and a lot of positive things have happened. We've learned a lot. We've continued to build. We've continued to get better. And but we'd like to finish this thing on a winning note. We'd like to go 7-4 because it looks a lot better than 6-5. We'd like to go 7-4 because we got a chance to finish third in the league when everybody picked us last, for those that even actually voted for us at all. So there's a lot of things to play for going in this last game, and I know our kids are excited about it. I know I'm excited about it. I'm awfully irritable after we lose. I don't like losing regardless of circumstance. If you're any kind of competitor, you don't. And so we're looking forward to the challenge and opportunity, playing a very good football team that's way better than their record indicates. Because if you go look at the scores of their games, it's way different than what you would think. And a very good football team, especially on defense. So it's going to be a challenge, but like I said, we're looking forward. We want to finish strong. We want to finish on a good note. It's been a good year, but we want to finish on a good note. And like I said, 7-4 looks a lot better than 6-5, and we got a chance to finish third in the league in our first year, and that'd be a pretty good way to finish this thing. So I'll open it up for questions.
Harold Nichols ran this offense both at Georgia Southern and Rhode Island. Do you do anything different with the other coach being that familiar with what you do?
No, I mean, Tommy Spangler, he was the defense coordinator at Georgia Southern back when they were running the option, and he's their defensive coordinator now. So they do a good job. They're sound in what they do. They're going to do what they're going to do, and we're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to see who can execute better on Saturday. I think they're going to have an idea of what we're going to do, and we're going to have an idea of what they're going to do, and it's going to come down to execution. But no, we don't do any different. We still go look at ways we can give our kids the best chance to be successful in what we do. But when you're in week 11, there's some fundamental things that you've done throughout the year, schematically, on both sides of the ball, you got to be able to do to be successful. And we're kind of at that point right now. So we got to go play better. We cannot beat ourselves. I think the bottom line on all three phases, we just can't beat ourselves. We got to go give ourselves the best chance to be successful. And that's been our nemesis all year, regardless of scheme, is just we can't beat ourselves. You can't have 10 penalties for 100 yards and expect to beat anybody. And turn the ball over and miss assignments on defense and not plugging the right gap or whatever it might be. And that's been our biggest deal. And usually if we do what we're supposed to, we give ourselves a chance. Doesn't mean we're going to win, but we sure give ourselves a chance.
What have you learned about the team going to this final game?
I think probably number one about this football team, there's a lot of things I'm proud of, Doug. But the number one thing I'm proud of is we don't quit. We show up and play. It may not be pretty, but our kids play hard. And that's one thing the effort, attitude, and toughness that I talked to you guys early on about that was a big emphasis for our football team. I've been really proud of that. I think if you come watch us play, we may have penalties and we have mistakes and we may not do things perfect, but our kids play hard. And so I'm extremely proud of that. I think that's just one thing, right off the top of my head, that we play hard and we play with a little chip on our shoulder. And I think that's what's given us a little bit of an edge to find a way to win some games that have been awfully close. So I've been very proud of that, without a doubt.
And Trey's going to – I didn't get to listen to the talk on yesterday. Trey's playing this weekend, right?
Correct.
So does that mean he's 100% healthy with just one game left, or is this just you're good enough?
100% good to go.
Yeah. Trey. Yeah, he's good to go. He's good to go.
What would it mean having him back?
Well, I think, Trey's been a big part of our success on offense, and his leadership, his competitive nature, his experience. There's a reason we've had an opportunity to move the football on offense up to date, and Trey's been a huge part of that. And I think it'll have an impact on what we do, without a doubt, as I told him before. I give him a hard time about stuff sometimes. I think he thinks I'm probably harder on him than I should be, but I told him the other day, I said, listen, we wouldn't be where we're at today without you being a quarterback. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And you need take all the numbers and stats out of the equation. It's about what you do. When you're a quarterback, it's about finding a way to get a win and find a way to get things done, about that leadership. And ain't no doubt Trey's been a big part of that, so we're glad he's back.
Are you aware that with a decent game on Saturday, you can hit 1,000 for rushing
I just
and passing? The only Big South quarterback.
Passing?
According to Al's notes.
Well, yeah, I get a hard time, from passing. I was going to tell Coach Bohannon, I must be the worst 1,000-yard passer he's ever coached. That's great and all, but look, I'm worried about number 7. Let's get the 7th win. Numbers aside, that's really all that matters. I think it's a great testament to our offense and what we've been able to do as an offensive unit this year. But let's get the win before any of these personal stats come into play.
Something for both of you guys. This is the last time that we're going to be able to sit down here like this with and talk to you guys. So this first season, has it been everything that you thought it would be, hoped it would be?
I think it's been a lot of fun. You don't really know what to expect going into it. Obviously, it's going to be all the hype and support we're getting from the community. So it's going to be a big deal. But it's been a ride. I hope we can get this win, so in the off season we can build off that and shock some people next year.
Well, it's been fun, but very fun. The wins, we celebrated those. The losses, we learned from them. Next year, hoping to come out and, shock the world.
Trey, you didn't miss much, but how hard was it as a competitor to not play the second half of the game before and then not play last week and watch the game unfold and not go the way you guys wanted it to?
Yeah, it's really tough, especially as a competitor and just as an athlete in general. Getting injured and not being able to be out there. And those particular 2 games, we lost. So you kind of have a personal feeling of like, dang, I wish I could have done something to help. But I'm just glad I'm back for this week. I hope we had a solid 2 days of practice, Monday and Tuesday. If we can finish this week of practice off well, I like the game plan going into this week. And look, we just got to execute. That's the biggest thing. So I'm just happy to be back. That's the biggest thing.
Go back to the very, very first game. You're playing another startup team. No idea what's going to happen. Talk about your confidence level before that game and then your confidence level going into this final game.
Well, you didn't know what to expect the first game. Going in, we all playing the first inaugural season game. So, and then now, we know what to expect now. We know we can play with anybody when we play Kennesaw State football.
Yeah, he nailed it on the head. I think the biggest thing is, especially not after the first game, but I think after a couple of those conference games, I think especially with a young team, it kind of, obviously you go into any game thinking you're going to win, but especially having some early success, I think that showed our young team like, hey, we can play with anybody as long as we play our brand of football. But that's the biggest thing. Like Coach said, no matter if I'm playing quarterback, whoever's playing. If we shoot ourselves in the foot, we're not going to win, especially with a young team. So we gotta be locked in. We gotta be focused, and we gotta play our brand of football.
Any injuries for this game?
Nothing new. Nothing new. I don't think there's anybody that's coming back other than Trey that was not available last week. Jay Bowen's out. He'll be out for the season. Everybody else that was healthy last week, I believe, is healthy this week off the top of my head. We've had so many, Doug.
Right.
But off the top of my head, the guys that are playing a bunch, that are impacted. That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Guys, Coach said 7-4 looks a lot better than 6-5, and then kind of give the impression that you agree with that. But how important do you think it is to get a win, not only to get that 7th win, but to avoid a 3-game losing streak heading into the off-season?
Well, I mean, Coach said it. I mean, you don't want to go into the offseason on a losing note. But I think another thing is 7-4 sounds a lot better than 6-5. But I think finishing 7-4 with our type of season, Coach Bohannon has always said, Kennesaw is the best kept secret in the South. Well, I'm hoping, if we can get this win this week, I feel like we've had a very successful season. But again, we got to finish this week. But going into the off season, I hope we're not the best kept secret anymore.
Well, as you know, the last 2 games didn't roll our way, but the best football is yet to come. We still have 4 quarters to play Kennesaw State football. It's the last game of the season. It would be a better time to go out and play 4 quarters of Kennesaw State football and end it on a win.
I think for our team, too, we still haven't found that 4 quarters of offense, defense, and special teams, where everything comes together for 4 quarters. You get a half here, a quarter there. There's spurts where you see what you want it to look like, where that picture looks like you want it to look. But we've yet to put all that together, and I think that's what we're striving for. Don't know if that's going to happen Saturday or not. That's our goal. It might be next year before that happens. I don't know that. It's a big game for us to get to number 7. But this game will not define our season. One game will not define our season. Is it a big deal to finish on a winning note? Absolutely. But one game will not define our season. We've made a ton of progress this year, a ton of progress. And, obviously we want to finish this thing on a winning note, but by no means is this one game going to define our season. Would it be great to finish on a winning note? Absolutely. But I don't think it'll define us. The best is yet to come here. And I believe our kids believe in that, and we'll keep building on it and keep growing, and we'll continue to get better as we move forward.
One of the things that you talked about early on, when they were beating East Tennessee and some of those other teams, said that there were still those efforts that you were seeing where we're missing the blocks and penalties and this kind of thing. 10 penalties for 100 last week, and had quite a few penalties against Liberty, similar situation. Where is that on the progress as far as limiting those mental mistakes and the efforts and all that stuff?
Well, I think you look at 2 different areas. When you look at the mental mistakes or the penalties, no excuses, first of all. But when you're dealing with a young football team, you're going through a first college season, the highs and lows, the emotional roller coaster, and that's all about mental focus on what's going on. It really it's all about focus. And, like I said, not to make excuses, but, when you're dealing with the first time going through this with a bunch of redshirt freshmen, you're going to get some of that. Not that we accept it, but I knew it was going to happen some because it happened in preseason. It happened in the spring scrimmages. We talked about on offense all the time. Man, if we could just quit beating ourselves, we might be able to move the ball. But that's part of this process. Like I said, doesn't mean we like it or accept it, but that's part of the process. As far as the effort goes, and the mental assignments and all that, it goes in waves. When we're locked in and we're focused, it's much better. When we lose a little bit or emotionally and our energy, we don't have it like we did in Saturday. It's the flattest I've ever seen this football team all year. Was last Saturday. Pre-game was the worst I've ever seen it. And I don't necessarily judge how we're going to play based on pregame, but it was the worst it's been all year. And we just were flat. And I'd like to tell you I have some magic wand, but I don't. And, that's just part of growing up. How do you maintain some kind of consistency week in an emotional game? And I think as we grow, we're going to get better at that. Right now, we have a little bit of a roller coaster. As far as the efforts go, I think we play hard, but I think we're still learning how to play every play with championship effort. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but there's a difference in championship effort and playing hard. We can go back and show you some snaps of championship effort. You look back early in the Edward Waters game on defense, you're seeing championship effort. can we maintain that snap in, snap out for 4 quarters? You go look at the first snap of the Dayton game. Man, that's about as good a championship effort as you're going to see on offense. Can you maintain that snap in, snap out for 4 quarters? That's part of the process we're in right now. You see waves of it, glimpses of it, periods of time of it, but us maintaining that and maintaining our focus. So these guys will tell you, all we talk about is doing your job with championship effort. And that sums up the 2 things John's asking about, doing your job with championship effort. And that sounds easy, but when you go play 65, 66 snaps that Derrick's playing in a game, Trey's playing about the same, it's challenging. Doesn't mean we can't do it, but it's challenging. I think that's part of our growth process. We coach it. We've gotten better at it, but we're not there yet. And hopefully we'll gain on that this weekend. I don't think you're going to see everything perfect this weekend. I just don't. And that's nothing against these guys. We're trying to get there, but it's just the reality of where we are. But can it be better? And then can it be better moving forward? And I think that's really been our goal.
Coach hit on it. I think as we continue to grow as football players and grow as a football team, the penalties and the mental mistakes that you see, they'll continue to fade away.
What do you do Monday morning?
Monday morning? Well, we meet at 6 a.m. as a football team on Monday mornings. And so I usually come in, and I have numbers on each side of the ball and on special teams. So I'll go through the number of plays we played on defense. I'll give the number of efforts, the number of missed assignments, the number of missed tackles. And usually I'll talk about some big plays, tackle for loss, interception, whatever it might be. And we'll go through those numbers. And then usually if we win, we give an offensive or defensive player of the game. We always give a blue-collar award, but we decided we didn't have one this week. Coach Newberry and the defensive staff decided we didn't have one. And do the same thing on offense with efforts, missed assignments, knockdowns. And then we talk about a knockdown award winner, which actually was Trey Shivers this week. He got the most knockdowns. And do the same thing on special teams. Number of snaps, efforts, missed assignments, and I'll touch on a few things from each area that we got to get better at. And pretty much I just told them pretty point blank, we didn't play very good. I said we had a bunch of penalties, missed assignments. I mean, I forget how many was on offense. It was 40 plus. I can't remember how many on defense. I think it was around 25 or 30. I can't remember, Derrick. You might remember better than me. But we had a lot of missed assignments. We had penalties. We had turnovers. We didn't execute. And I said, guys, we don't give ourselves a chance to win when we beat ourselves. Let's go let Coastal beat us straight up, and then we can deal with that, or whoever it might be. But it's harder to take when we beat ourselves. And I said, here's where we are. I said, we're going to the last game of the season. I said, whatever it is we got to do to rally, to pull it together, to put forth our best effort in the last game. You know, I said 7-4 is a heck of a lot better than 6-5. So we got a chance to finish 3rd in the league. Who would ever thought? Nobody in here would. Sitting in front of me, I guarantee you right now. These guys believed it. They weren't sure, but they believed it. There's only one team in Division I FCS scholarship that's ever won more than 6 games in the last 10, 15 years of startup programs, and that was Old Dominion. They went to playoffs in their 3rd year. We got a chance to do something to finish this thing off right. So that's what I'm telling the team. I told them that Monday morning, and I finished a lot of it Monday after practice, and I finished even more yesterday before practice. I normally don't talk before practice much, but I went through the whole spiel again before practice. And I told them what it's going to take is unbelievable focus during the week. You know, we get distracted very easy. You know, it doesn't take much for us to lose a little bit of focus. We got to focus in on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday so that we have a chance to do right on Saturday. And I think the want to is 100% here, but the want to's got to be every day of the week and every rep of every day in order to have a chance to be successful. So that's what we've talked about this week. That's kind of the angle we've taken. And I told him, I said, man, you're going to sleep in on Sunday. You can sleep in on Monday. You can sleep in the rest of the week. I want you to empty the tank out on Saturday. I want it. I want everything you got. You got nothing to worry about. You got nothing to do the next week. There's nothing. Hey, you got Thanksgiving. There's no school. You don't have to get up at 5 a.m. anymore, which has been brutal. Let's cut it loose. Let's cut it loose. Let's go play our best game. And that's where we are. And that's what we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about this week. And, as we go into playing a really good football team, like I said early on, we're playing a good football team that's doing the same thing we are in Clinton, South Carolina right now. Let's rally the troops. Let's finish on a good note. They're playing some young kids. They're saying the same thing. They're doing the same thing. Ain't no different.
Trey, the other day a couple weeks ago when you got hurt, can you kind of walk me through that play? I mean, from the time that you pitched the ball and the defensive lineman taps it into the backfield, what's going through your mind? And then how did the injury occur?
That guy made a heck of a play, and it bounced right to him. I guess my first thought was, dang, Coach Bohannon's going to chew me out. I'm just kidding. But
I wouldn't do that.
look, that number one, that guy is a heck of a player. And I can't wait to play him next year. But he just made a great play, and I tried to strip him and make a tackle, and unfortunately, I injured my shoulder in the process, and I'm just glad I'm back.
They immediately took you into the locker room, and I guess they popped it back into place. Can you describe what that's like?
You'll have to talk to the doctors. I don't know anything about that.
How about your level of pain at that point? Was there some?
Yeah, it was painful. I'm not giving you much on this one.
I was coming out to see him, believe it or not, and he probably didn't think I was, so I'm about halfway out to walk out there. Usually if a guy stays out there for a little bit, I'm going to go see what's going on. Sometimes it's just a guy gets the wind knocked out of him, and he catches his breath, he's back up. Well, I'm about halfway to 3/4 out there to go see what's going on because he's down for a little bit. Well, they get him up, starting to get him up. Well, he just walks off the other side of the field. I said, well, I guess I'm not going to go check that one out. He went on to the locker room. I figured he was just,
I was like, Coach Bohannon's not coming to check on me.
He ain't thinking nothing about that at the time, I can promise you. But
No, I was not.
But Trey's tough as nails, man. I mean, it's shoot. You probably could have. He probably said, hey, if you just bandage him up and let him go back out, he'd went back out and played. Ain't no question about his toughness. I know he's excited about getting back and playing.
You've talked about, obviously, you need to add depth and things along those lines, but as unfortunate and as common in football as injuries are, how beneficial down the road into next year is it to have reached down the chart a little bit and gotten guys game experience going forward?
Well, I think it's huge, Brian. I mean, you look at you look at a guy like Jake McKenzie, for example. What he got to do Saturday, we can't replicate. We can't do it. There's no way we can go put him in that situation. So what he learned in that game, and then you got a lot of guys that weren't even starting at the beginning of the year but are having to play now simply because of guys get banged up in depth. And those reps you get in a game, you can't put a price tag on. That experience we talk about going into the year that we didn't have much of, well, now these guys have gained meaningful experience. And I think also going into the offseason, I think they're going to understand a lot of things we were trying to tell them going into the season about college football is a little different than what they were accustomed to, and that now there's a little more emphasis on, man, I do got to get a little bigger. I got to get stronger. These are the things I got to do to give myself a chance to be successful, especially these last few weeks where we've been on a run of top 10 teams, and you face the best of the best. I mean, back to back, we faced the best two teams in the league for sure. Maybe two of the better teams in FCS right now. They're both 9-1. I think they'll finish. Charleston Southern's going to lose one more game, but gosh dang, they're playing Alabama. I think there's a good chance that Coastal will probably win tomorrow night, and they'll both go to the playoffs. I don't know how deep they'll go, but and the thing about it is when you look at it, even with the lack of depth and those guys, all that, if we just give ourselves a chance to compete, I think we can compete. I mean, we're going to win, but we can compete. But those reps are priceless. You just can't. You can't do it. You try to simulate, right, but you can't simulate. Going on the road and playing the number 4 team in the country, it's kind of hard to simulate that. But I think we've learned a lot of valuable lessons, and we knew that going in that the only way we could get better is to go play. So I think it's been huge. I think it'll be huge as we move forward, as we continue to recruit and add depth. But also those guys have played meaningful snaps which is going to help them. So it's really a good position to be in if we can continue to build in the right way.
As you said earlier, not a lot of people expected this season from you guys. A lot of coaches, media giving you guys 2, maybe 3 wins for the season. Did you expect before the season 6, 7 wins? And are you happy with 6, maybe 7 wins?
I wasn't sure what to expect, to be perfectly honest with you, Chris. I never put a number on anything. These guys will tell you I never talked about wins, never talked about losses, never talked about conference, never talked about playoffs. Not till now, because it's really one game left. You can talk about it, But I never talked about any of that. To have a winning season was a pretty big deal to me. To have a winning season was a pretty big deal. Because I look at things from a big picture sometimes that these guys don't need to worry about. I'll take care of the big picture if they'll just take care of the day-to-day. And I look at the big picture, where we're going and what we're going to do here. And I think we've laid the foundation for a team that's hungry to win, that has a chip on their shoulder, and that's going to fight to the end. If we keep that here and we continue to build on that, we're going to be fine. If we keep that, which is going to be a challenge in year 2, because you have all the firsts are gone, all that stuff's gone. If we continue that and continue to build and grow, we're going to be fine here. We're going to be fine. So I think what we've done to date from a foundation standpoint is really building in the right way. And one thing I talked about early on is, how do you create a winning culture? Doesn't mean you win every game, but how do you create a winning culture? A culture where losing is not accepted. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but it's not accepted. And I want them to be as irritated as I am after we get beat. I don't care who we play, and I don't care what year the program's in. I told some of them late in the game, after the game, well, I chewed them pretty good at halftime, and they'll tell you. And it really wasn't chewing them out, but it was about, I saw a little glimpse of some guys kind of moping around at the end of the first half because we were getting our tail kicked. But here's where we are, guys. This is part of building a program. What are you going to do when the chips are down? What are you going to do when you hit adversity? It's the first time we've really been slammed all year now. It's the first time it happened. I knew it was coming. I didn't know when, but I knew it was coming. And so I got after him. I don't know, it's probably a good 5-minute talk. I mean, I was fired up now. And I was proud of him because we went back in the second half. Not that we played great, but we fought. And that's all I was asking. Go fight. Take the scoreboard out of the equation and go fight. Those are the kind of things from a program standpoint, and the ability to create that is what's so important for us right now. We can build on this. We can build on this. And, our kids expect to win. And that's something that's huge. They believe they can win every game. We believe we can win every game, no matter who we're playing. And you can build on that. You can build on that. It's a heck of a lot better going into your first-year program that's got one win right now and trying to make them believe they can beat anybody. Doesn't matter who they are. I believe our football team believes they can beat no matter who shows up on the field. They believe they can win. So those things are huge for us, and we can build on that. Y'all got me a little wound up. Apologize. That stuff's they know I'm passionate about that stuff now. I mean, about just so important, and we can't lose it. We can't forget how we got to where we are. We can't forget all the hard work and things we did to get us to where we are. And we want to prove everybody wrong. Well, that should never change here. You know what I mean? We may not be picked last again, but it shouldn't change the way we go about it. And that's going to be the challenge for us as we move forward. Because I told them early in the year, I said, and y'all got me wound up, I apologize. Early in the year, I said, you know what? Every team's got you circled as a W. But the thing about it is, back in the fall, we talked about every team's going to circle us before long and go, oh, crap, we got to go play Kennesaw State. That is the goal. That is the mindset. That's what we're trying to do. That started in the fall. So we're working towards that. And I think we've gained on it. I don't think we're overlooked. Not by the way people play. But we got to continue that. And we can't let up. Starts this week. Starts Saturday. And then as we move forward, we cannot lose the edge that we went in the season with. We can't, because that's how we're going to be good. I'll stop right there. Y'all got me going. Don't take much.
So you take a week off now and then go out on the recruiting. Talk about that.
We do. When we get done with a game. I mean, this has been an emotional, taxing, all the words you can describe from a football program standpoint. The kids are off next week. It's fall break for them. They're gone. I'm giving the coaches the week off. We need to go catch our breath. We're still in an evaluation period from a recruiting standpoint. There's not much we can do. School's out everywhere. We'll go see games on a Friday night, what teams are left playing. We'll go watch them play next Friday or Saturday. And then we'll come back Monday. We'll hit the recruiting trail. And we're going to sign another big class. It's not going to be as big as our first, but it'll be a big class. And so we're excited about that. We're getting a lot of positive feedback. But as you guys know, as I've said before, recruiting's the lifeline of a college football program. And so we got to do a great job of finding the right fit, the right student athletes that can come fit in our program to continue to build on what we've done. And so we'll go right into that for the next, I think it's 3 weeks in December before the dead period starts over Christmas. So we'll hit it pretty good during that time and then come back in January for another 3 weeks of recruiting.
Will it be mostly high school players in this? Or are you going to try to get more junior college guys?
No, it'll be mostly high school. We'll take transfers, but they'll be 4-year. Okay. And kind of the plan moving forward with this was predominant high school. We'll always take transfers, mostly 4-year, predominantly guys that we've probably recruited that went elsewhere that decided they want to come back. The junior college would be a spot here and there. We're not going to do what we did this year with that. That would be something we know about or a need. But we won't go down that road much at all. It'll be mainly 4-year transfers, but predominant high school football in the state of Georgia and the surrounding states. And that's how we want to build this program.
Use all 30 for the year? Do you think?
I don't know. Really, the bottom line, Doug, is we play a Division I team in 2 years, and so we have to be at 90% for 2 years prior to that to count for us being bowl eligible. If that makes sense. So we got to get our scholarships at those numbers. Yeah. So, and I don't know if we'll use all 30. It just depends.
Right.
It's more equivalency than it is number based. But it'll be a big class for us. Right. It will be, and we'll have some mid-year guys as well. We'll have some mid-year and some guys that come in the summer. We'll have
Gray shirts?
No, just some mid-year guys.
Okay.
Some guys just transferring in. Yeah, we haven't gone down the road of gray shirt. Here, I'm not saying we
These
won't.
mid-year guys are guys that have already signed their financial aids or anything.
No,
You can't talk about who they are.
no. I'm just saying we're going to have some guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who they are. No, I don't. Yeah, they hadn't signed anything. We're not there yet on them early signing stuff. We'll work on that.
He's trying to get a better quarterback. That's the problem.
Trying to get one that can throw a little bit. I think I bruised him when I said Jake had a little better arm than him because he's been on me ever since.
Are you here to tell us he's wrong?
I got practice today. I'm not saying anything like that.
I think it kind of motivates Trey, so I can needle him whenever I can.
Any more questions?
Hey, this is the last one, so I want to say thank you. Especially you guys have been here every week. I truly appreciate it. We appreciate it from our program and all the work you do to publicize our program. We're proud of it. I know there's going to be days that are really good and there's going to be days that aren't so good, but we appreciate the support, appreciate the coverage, and we feel really honored to be a part of this thing and appreciate you guys being a part of it as well. So from our program, we want to say thank you for being here every week. We appreciate it.
We were picked last in the sports writing pools too.
There you go, see? Got to play with a chip on your shoulder. You got to write with a chip on your shoulder. You got to play with a chip on your
We
shoulder.
start meeting Monday morning at 6 o'clock.
You can come join us if you want to, Doug. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.